What's up, 4-day weekend geeks? Hopefully you are healthier than I am. It is I, your grumpy guide to all things gaming, the caustic gatekeeper, the idiot behind the curtain with another OG GM adventure. And I'm going to talk very briefly about the Critical Role Valentine's Day special that they did just the past couple days ago on Valentine's Day. Now we know I'm not always the biggest fan of Critical Role and some of the choices they've made, some of the choices their fan base makes. So let me say that. For their Valentine's Day one-shot, they chose to use a different system other than their Dungeons & Dragons, which they have done in the past on their one-shots. They tend to explore smaller games, which I'm very grateful for. So for their Valentine's one-shot, they chose MONSTERHEARTS, the game of teenage monsters. Now, MONSTERHEARTS is basically Vampire the Apocalypse or Vampire the Masquerade in high school. So it's a game about exploring all the things a high school student has to go through: bullying, tests, puberty, adolescence, cliques, parents, gender identification, social structure identification, anything that any high school reality or a high school stereotype, except for, of course, the John Hughes stuff, though I think there's some of that stuff in there, too. In addition, all the player characters are monsters. Vampires, werewolves, zombies, succubuses, sandwich men, so it's very much Buffy meets Vampire the Masquerade, because it's set in a high school. It's dealing with all the high school issues. Plus, everybody is a monster, and they have to deal with their monster self as well as their normal self, and how does being a monster and adolescence and bullying and blah, 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 blah. MONSTERHEARTS uses Powered by the Apocalypse engine. Now, we know I am a huge fan of the Powered by the Apocalypse engine. I have sung its praises in the past before, and I'm sure I will sing its praises in the past again, especially now that we're at the tail end of its life. This is a much needed shot in the arm for Powered by the Apocalypse. It's a much needed tip of the hat from the Critical Role crews to say, of all the games out there that explored like romance and sex and gender and stuff, we chose this game. We chose this 2d6 very weird system that, has so much potential, and that's the game we chose. And thank you. Thank you, Critical Role. Thank you, Mercer. Thank you, everybody, for of all the games to choose, you chose Powered by the Apocalypse engine. This will give Powered by the Apocalypse the much needed press and, oh God, I can't get this thing right tonight, popularity and word of mouth that it needs to really get it backed up to where it should be. It's a great system. It does have some flaws. There's definitely some choices in Powered by the Apocalypse, and especially in MONSTERHEARTS, of where they kind of just chose to be edgy for the sake of being edgy, and there's certain things that that are intrinsic to the system that don't really need to be there, in my opinion, but that's just my opinion, and other people might find that choice perfectly fine. And of course, like with any role-playing game, you don't have to use that. But Powered by the Apocalypse, on the whole, is a great system. I've said before, it had the potential to be the game that broke the paradigm, that shattered the glass ceiling, to be the next GURPS, to be the next game that would start the same sort of revolution that GURPS did before GURPS went crazy. But it just fell short. And one of the things that it fell short on was just popularity and getting out there into people's faces, because it was such a small press game. So this choice by the Critical Role people to choose MONSTERHEARTS, a Powered by the Apocalypse game, is huge. So thank you very much. Hopefully this will get more people investigating and looking into Powered by the Apocalypse and MONSTERHEARTS. I'll include a link down below to the MONSTERHEARTS and Powered by the Apocalypse. Check out Powered by the Apocalypse engine. Check out MONSTERHEARTS. check out this episode of Critical Role. That was Critical Role, so definitely, from my point of view, does some cringy things, but I'm sure if you're a Critical Role fan, you're perfectly fine with it. But they chose Monsterhearts. They chose Powered by the Apocalypse. So thank you. Thank you for giving Powered by the Apocalypse the push it needs, because it's an awesome system. It has so much potential. It just needed a little extra something, and this is maybe the little extra something it needs. So thank you, Critical Role, and those are words you probably would never thought you'd hear come out of my mouth. Talk to you later, losers.